right, hopefully you can hear us. There's a lot of noise in the background, but Carla and this is Carla Davis, and we are here to see Governor Abbott here in Sherman, Texas.
Yes, it's the mayor's round table. The table's not very round. It's a whole lot of auditorium, but it's so exciting to be able to be here.
Yes, it is. Look at this place is filling up.
Yay!
There we go. This place is filling up. And we'll give you a couple of shots, little video snippets of him while we're here so you can see our governor. All right, you guys? Okay, see you in a minute.
Okay,
bye.
bye.
The governor is with us this morning, and so I'm going to read his bio for you. So Governor Abbott was named the best governor in the nation in 2020. Of course, for us here in Texas, he's the best governor every year, right? He's continuing to build upon his record as a strong conservative leader who fights to preserve Texas values and ensure the Lone Star State remains the best place to live, work, and raise a family. And I can absolutely tell you that that's true. Governor Abbott personally was involved in our economic development negotiations, he and his staff, even making a trip to Sherman and received us in Austin. And he's such a great friend of the city of Sherman. His vision for an even stronger Texas of tomorrow is focused on creating more jobs and economic opportunity, educating leaders of the next generation, protecting individual liberties, restoring parental rights and education, and securing the southern border in the face of federal inaction. So Governor Abbott was reelected to a third term in 2022 to help secure the future of Texas, and elected as 2014 as the 48th governor of our great state of Texas, was the 50th and longest serving Attorney General of Texas, and served as a justice on the Supreme Court of Texas and as a state district judge in Harris County. Governor Abbott was born in Wichita Falls and raised in Duncanville, graduated from UT Austin, yeah, a few will admit it, and earned his law degree from Vanderbilt University Law School. Shortly after law school, he was paralyzed by a falling tree while jogging. From his faith and family, he gained strength, recognizing our lives are not defined by our challenges, but how we respond to them. So great advice for us today. Governor Abbott and his wife Cecilia, former teacher and principal, and the first Hispanic First Lady of Texas, were married in 1981. Their daughter Audrey works in the finance industry. So we had the pleasure of meeting Cecilia in Sherman just a few years ago. We're so grateful for her visit. Just such a kind and lovely woman. So with that, I am going to bring out Governor Abbott and Reggie Smith to share some insight with us this morning at our economic roundtable.
Good morning, how are y'all? Good, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me too well? We just really are so pleased of all the great things that have happened in this auditorium through the years, Governor. This is one of the greatest. We certainly appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. You know, the governor, I've practiced law here for 30 years, Governor. Doesn't seem like it, but it's gone quick. But all through his political life, as Attorney General in the Supreme Court and as governor, he has been a regular visitor to Sherman, Texas, Grayson County in this area, and we really appreciate the attention that you give to this area. And it's evident in what's going on up here right now with all this new development and everything that you have your hands on. We just really appreciate that. Before we get started on our Q&A today, I would be remiss though if I didn't thank David Wilder, the mayor of Sherman, the great mayor of Sherman, for all he's done to put this together. Y'all give him a big hand. I also want to make sure that we recognize our great state senator, Drew Springer. He's with us today down here in the front row. Drew, thank you for being here. Drew does great things at the state level that are unheralded. Just things about water and schools and roads and all the things that keep Texas running. And Drew, we really appreciate you. Governor, I know you have a tight schedule, but we really appreciate the time. I know that first and foremost on a lot of people's minds up here today are economic development. Texas, my understanding is that Texas is the 8th largest economy in the world. And that we are regularly recognized as being number one in the country for business. That business wants to come to Texas. And clearly business is wanting to come here to Sherman, Texas. And a lot of that has to do with what your efforts, quite frankly. And a lot of people may not know about the meetings and all the work that you've done to make Sherman, to put Sherman, Texas actually on the map for technology. And we really appreciate that. But can you give us kind of an understanding of the importance of business development, economic development in our policy here in Texas?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, let me put some context to it. I've been coming to Sherman since I was a little kid, and I have never seen the Sherman, Denison, Grayson County area look so robust, forward-leading, growing, expanding, so connected economically as you are now. I do want to applaud the mayor, the local economic development teams, which include not just the mayor's office, but the chamber, different organizations in this region. As Reggie was pointing out, I've been here multiple times for economic development-based purposes. And I see these teams engaged, and I work on economic development projects across the state, and what I find is that the communities that are most successful are not those that are dependent upon the state to make sure they are growing. In fact, it's because of the local economic development organizations that are themselves working overtime to try to attract businesses here. So I was here for the groundbreaking ceremony at Texas Instruments. We had a meeting to the side with leaders of Globotech as well as other businesses that I've been here to talk to about growing and expanding in the greater Grayson County area. So I just want to make sure that everybody here understands the prolific role played by your local economic development leaders. You are among the very best in the entire state of Texas. Thank you for your leadership. So what's happened across the state of Texas is remarkable, and I'll tell you why. First, understand this, and that is Texas ranks number one in the United States for the most new jobs added. Texas ranks as having the most prolific economy in the entire state. We have won the award for economic development every year that I've been governor. In fact, for 11 years in a row, Texas has been the national champion for economic development. One thing that leads to is exactly what Reggie talked about. When I became governor, Texas it was the 12th and 13th largest economy in the entire world. Now Texas has the 8th largest economy in the entire world, and you have played a part in making that happen. Give it up for yourself and everything everybody here in Grayson County area does to lead to a growing economy. When I meet with Texas Instruments or Globotech or other businesses, large and small, when they are talking about either moving here, expanding here, or growing here, and it could be one of your small businesses that wants to expand, I hear the exact same thing from all of them about why it is that they are expanding in the state of Texas as well as in this region. And it's several things combined. One is because we have no income tax and no business income tax. In fact, as you know, because you were part of this, Texas has such a disdain for income taxes, we passed a constitutional amendment banning an income tax in the state of Texas. Another thing that is extraordinarily important, and that is the regulatory environment. When I talk to businesses that are operating in California, yeah, they complain about the higher taxes there, but they say taxes is something that mathematically they can find a way to deal with. One thing they cannot find a way to deal with because it's not subject to such a simple mathematical calculation. And that's the high cost of the extreme regulatory environment in the state of California. Texas has a pro-business regulatory environment where we regularly sell businesses that are coming here that Texas moves at the speed of business. And that is one of the reasons why so many businesses are choosing Texas over other states. In fact, not just so many, but more than any other state. During this past year, Texas became home to more Fortune 500 company headquarters than any other state in America. Texas is the headquarters of headquarters in the United States. But the number one issue, the number one concern and demand by CEOs is having access to a high quality workforce. And you need to know what these business leaders are saying. You'd be proud, because as these business leaders operate across the entire country and globally, they say that no state in America has a better qualified workforce than does the state of Texas. And so we are known across the nation for the top-notch workforce that we have, and that is a magnet that is both bringing companies here, but also helping companies that are already here expand. And because of that, the legendary growth that we've had, growth that added 450,000 new residents just last year alone. Pop quiz question, how many people live in Grayson County now? Anybody? How many? 35? 135. So we added about 3 Grayson counties just last year alone. And the people coming here, coming with the businesses that are locating here. That's extraordinary. That's going to expand your economy dramatically.
My understanding is we add population the size of Corpus Christi. Does that sound right to you? Every year. And along the notion of this workforce development, we did pass House Bill 8 this last legislative session. It's tremendous funding for education workforce. Can you talk a little bit about how that funding is going to help our workforce in terms of educating them on technical
So
issues?
as good as our workforce is, we're always looking for ways to do even better. That's one thing that keeps Texas in the lead. We don't sit on our status quo. We always look for ways to do better. And one way to do better is to make sure that we as a state are helping our 2- and 4-year colleges and universities, as well as our high schools, do a better job of training the workforce for tomorrow. And that's exactly what you all did in House Bill 8. What it does is it completely,
Including how it affects us here in Grayson County.
so there's several things that communities need to be able to grow and prosper and to be able to attract other businesses to your community. One is access to health care, another is access to education, another is good transportation infrastructure. Texas is providing more resources to transportation infrastructure than any other state in America. And there's a reason for it. It's because of decisions made over the past decade to make sure that we would be allocating our money in an efficient way to ensure that we're going to have the resources to build transportation. Let's go back to a little bit more than a decade ago. Every legislative session, they had to go through the same hand-wringing and disputes about how much they were going to allocate for transportation infrastructure. For one, to avoid that, but also to provide predictability of fund flows to make sure we're going to be able to build out our transportation infrastructure, we constitutionally dedicated fund flows to transportation. Part of the constitutional dedication that y'all voted for uses part of our sales tax revenue, which is our largest source of revenue in the state of Texas, use part of that to go into a transportation fund, and then use the second largest part of our revenue, and that's use part of the oil and gas severance tax to go into a transportation fund. So we basically have a savings account on an ongoing basis that builds up funds that we can deploy to build out more transportation. That's why you see so many transportation projects up and down 75, or if you go over to 35, or if you go to some of the highways around the greater DFW area. It seems like there is a never-ending process of building roads, and it's true. In part because we have the resources for it, but also mainly in part because of the demand for it. So let's go back to something I said earlier, and we'll do some math. I said earlier that we have 450,000 people who moved here last year. If you want to do that by division, by 365, I think it comes out to something like 1,225 people moving here a day. So if you wake up tomorrow and get on the road, and it looks like the road is more crowded than it was yesterday, it is. There are more people on the road tomorrow than there are today, more today than there was yesterday. And that's why we need to be able to build these roads. But I want to add something else that's extraordinarily important, because we have in TxDOT leadership that is part of our entire team effort, where we as a state want to truly partner with our businesses here. And so with regard to Texas Instruments, Globotech, and similar projects around the state, TxDOT will work with them if they need an access road or surrounding roads to make sure they're going to be able to provide deliveries as they need, or take away capacity as they need. Listen, the state of Texas is going to help them out, because going back to what I said earlier, we know when Texas Instruments succeed, when Globotech succeed, the state is going to succeed. And so we are blessed because of our resources. We're blessed because people are moving here, and the more people who move here, we have more people paying a sales tax, and that increases our sales tax revenue that we can turn right back into making investments for things like building out transportation infrastructure, as well as returning that money to you in property tax cuts. And so this is going to be an ongoing episode of building out more transportation infrastructure and having more resources to cut your taxes, while at the very same time providing record funding for things like public education. We're providing more money for public education than ever before. The history of the state per student funding is at an all-time high, and teacher pay is at an all-time high because we have those resources. And we will continue those legacy investments as well as cutting your taxes because of these fund flows that we have.
We hope you all enjoyed the governor's speech, and look at our Texas officers. Look at them. Look,
It's so amazing.
yes. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed the governor. What do you think of it, Carla?
Oh, I thought it was really amazing that he came and that we got to hear all the wonderful things that he had to say. There's a lot of interesting things happening. We got to hear from the guy from Texas Instruments, which was really interesting.
Yes.
So much going in, so much happening, and it was just a really good day.
A lot of growth here in Sherman, Texas. Well, you guys have a wonderful day.
Okay, have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.